Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark, this is Spiguyver Backpacking, and today we're out here for another installment of the Best Coffee on the Trail series. Today we're looking at something that's got me a little excited to show you guys. I have been using this now for, I'd say, close to a month, and I've been super impressed with the results. And so today is my chance to show you what's in this little package here. And this is the Wacaco Nanopresso. That's what it looks like. I've got a special edition one. I don't know. I liked the color just because I enjoyed my time up in Alaska this summer, and the ice caves, and this kind of reminded me a little bit of the glaciers, so that's why I went with that. So why don't we take a quick minute, come on back, and we'll talk about this. Let's go. All right, so this is my Nanopresso. Comes in many pieces. I've got the carry case here, which is a nice hard shell, so you throw it in your backpack, you don't have to worry about this getting damaged at all. So the way this works is you've got a water chamber on the bottom, you've got your portafilter on the top with a little basket for loading in your coffee grounds. If you open up the water basket, inside it has a scoop, which also acts as a tamp, and a little brush that you can use for wiping stuff off. Cool thing about this bottom piece is it comes apart. It's easier when it's on there, and you have a little shot glass. So you can have your water chamber still attached, work it, and do your shot into the included shot glass, which conveniently nests right onto there, locks in place, doesn't fall off. If you open up the portafilter side, so it has a little gasket in there, you can take that off to clean it. You have your basket. This is where your espresso will go. It sits down in the top really nicely. This is the portafilter, comes apart. You can actually take all these pieces apart for cleaning. So you can take this off, unscrew it, and you can actually take one of the pieces inside of here off and go unpressurized if you want more manual control of running your shot. So the way it works, you pop this out, turn it over, squeeze this once per second, and it should build, according to this, up to 18 bars of pressure, which will give you enough pressure to create a great shot. So why don't we get this thing set up, take a look at it, and do this. Okay, as with all coffee, it comes down to having the right grind size and the right grind, the right coffee for this. So what we'll do is we'll take the top off. We've got our scoop. Cool thing about the scoop is when you scoop the coffee, you get it into here, the basket actually snaps on. And so now you can turn it over, tap it a couple of times, and that coffee that you just scooped out goes down in there, flip it over, and you can use that as a tamper. Now, cool thing I learned is if you're out in the field and you didn't feel like bringing the scoop, you can just scoop your coffee. Like I've got some espresso ground up in this baggie. I can just use this, scoop it out, and then if I wanted to tamp it but I didn't bring that scoop, this little plunger is about the perfect size. Actually, if you take a look, it is almost exactly the same size as that scoop, and so you can use that to tamp your coffee. Okay, so let's scoop out a little bit of coffee and see how this works. So I've got a pretty fine grind right here, about a normal espresso type of grind, and I'm just gonna scoop it into my scoop. I'm gonna knock off a little bit of the top of it there, just kind of clean it up around the edges. And I've got a rounded scoop. I haven't pressed it down, I just have gone kind of rounded. I'm taking that basket, you can see I snapped it on top. I've turned it over, I'm not holding it there, it stays, and pull that scoop off of there and use that as a tamp. Kind of tamp it down, not too hard, but enough. What you're looking for is 1 to, I don't know, 3 or 4 mils of space between this top lip and the coffee itself. So that's a pretty good puck right there. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a gap right there between the top and that. So I'm gonna set this aside. Next, we need to get some water going. So I'm gonna pour some water. Now this doesn't take a ton of water, but you wanna do enough water that you can preheat it, because you do need to preheat. Otherwise, your shot is going to be a little bit cooler than it should be, which is gonna extract less of the coffee. So let's get the water up to a boil and we'll come back and take a look at this. Okay, the water is coming to a boil. So I've got the water reservoir right there. I'm gonna turn the stove off, pull that off. See, very hot, steaming water. I'm gonna fill this about 3/4 of the way full. Don't need it all the way full. Put the lid back on my pot. This goes on real easy. Just twist and it's on there. Take the portafilter without the basket in there, put it on, twist that just slightly so that this pops out. And so now I'm going to just preheat it by running some water through it. Okay, so it's real simple. Just squeeze it. I'm just using a couple of fingers here. No problem whatsoever. They say to do it about 1 squeeze per second. Right now you can see multiple streams coming out of there, and that's what you would see if you're doing it with the filter in and with the basket in and you've overpressurized it. So if you've got your puck too dense, too finely ground, and tamped a little too hard, you'll see this where there's multiple streams coming out of the bottom. Okay, so now that we've got it heated up, I'm gonna drain what's in there out. Drain this stuff out of here. Refill to the line. So there's a little line. I don't know how well you can see it. There you go. You can see that right there. There's a little line in there. I'm gonna fill that up to there. So water is in there. It's back together. That puck goes right in there. Portafilter back on top. Screw it on. Make sure everything is nice and tight. Now I'm going to use a clear espresso cup just so you guys can see what comes out of it. Now it takes about 8 squeezes. They say to do it about 1 per second before you start getting your flow of espresso out. And then at 1 per second, it usually takes a total of about 30 pumps to get your full espresso out. And that is right in that range that you're looking for a good extracted espresso shot. Now if you're looking at the espresso itself, you can see that cascading effect. You can see the crema building up on top. And that is a nice shot of espresso right there. Good crema on top. We'll take a look at that. Let's tilt this down. Take a look at that crema that's on there. Very nice. Nice extracted shot of espresso. Let's talk about cleanup with this. So you'll have usually a little bit of water left in here, and you can kind of put that off to the side and use it however you want, maybe to rinse this out. When you take out the portafilter, there will be just a slight amount of coffee that kind of sits on there. If you want, you can use that extra water that you had just to kind of rinse that off, give it a good rinse, and now looks clean again. You could also let it dry and use the little brush that came with it. As for the coffee itself, you've got this puck, which is pretty solid. I like to let it just kind of dry out a little bit. You'll have a little bit of coffee just kind of left up in the top of this. Really, a rinse with some water is all that's necessary, and now it's nice and clean. But for this puck, it should all come out pretty much together. Now, if you're a serious barista, you're gonna say, well, how much coffee did you actually have in there? And I had somewhere between 7 and 9 grams. When I've weighed it, it's somewhere right in there, depending on how much I put in there, how hard I tamp it down. I found that not too hard of a tamp is best, and right around 8 grams is what I normally end up with when I'm doing it. So the yield should be 16 grams if I'm doing a true espresso, which that would be about to here. So about half of what I have in here. This would be more along the lines of a lungo, maybe even a little bit more diluted than that. But a good shot. I mean, honestly, it is, I mean, we're out, if you're out backpacking and you've got this with you and you make this and you make one for other campmates, you're gonna be the star. You're gonna be the one that they're coming to because you just made an espresso out on the trail. Yes, not a true espresso. You are reaching the right pressure. That somewhere between 9 and higher is what you're looking for to make a true espresso, to get that extraction. And you've got that with this producing 18 bar. A nice, smooth, sweet shot, fully extracted, a good crema on top. It's not a crema that just disappears immediately. It's got some lasting power. Personally, for me, this is a great thing to have out on the trail. I love espresso. Having good grind, having good coffee, and being able to put it all together with the Wacaco Nanopresso. It's different. It's different than anything else you're doing. All the other methods we've talked about really produce a regular cup of coffee. This is an espresso. This is one of those delightful things that you don't experience all that much out on the trail. I'll see you guys down the trail.